there anything we need to address before we get started?
The plaintiff has a few pretrial matters.
Please.
First, we'd like to tender copies to the bench, the complaint and answer it, also the stipulations.
All right, any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
Commissioner Bush, please. Anything further?
No more pretrial matters.
Okay. Defense, do you have anything you need to address before we get going?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense would like to tender to the bench a copy of the findings of fact and order for the case,
Any objection?
No.
as well as the autopsy, the Midland City autopsy report, and the transcript, which were both stipulated to by both sides.
Okay. Any objection?
No.
Okay. They may be admitted.
May I approach?
You may.
Are these being offered into evidence or just to technical features?
They will be offered into evidence during the trial.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Defense, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, but before I do, I'd like to also introduce myself and co-counsel to the court. My name is Adam Forsblum, along with my co-counsel, Molly Struze, and Nick Smarts. We are here to represent the plaintiff, Drew Walton, today.
Okay, would you like to begin?
Yes, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, may it please the court. 15 minutes. That's how long it took for BNN, a news network, to investigate one of the biggest stories of the year. Now, there were facts that night that were still in question. What was certain that night was that Lane Hamilton, a professor at Midlands University, had died from a gunshot wound to the head. What was also certain was that Drew Walton, a celebrity, a rising political star, was there to witness the incident. Those were the facts that were for certain. As I said, there were facts that night that were still in question. Facts that were clouded. Facts that you would think would take more than 15 minutes just to investigate. Yet, BNN only took 15 minutes for their investigation. From that investigation, they immediately made a report, broadcast it to millions of viewers from the scene of the crime. A report that you learn was false. A report that you will learn wrongfully accused Ms. Walton of the murder of Lane Hamilton. Ladies and gentlemen, from this report, Ms. Walton suffered irreparable harm to her reputation. Ms. Walton had her political dreams crushed because of this report. Now here in the state of Midlands, when there's an intentional publication about a public figure regarding statements, and these statements are either false or misleading, and from those statements, a public figure's reputation is either harmed or damaged, that is known as defamation. That's what BNN did to Ms. Walton, and that's what this case is about, defamation. Allow me to take this time to explain to you what really happened that night. You were here on that night, September 24th, 2006. There was a debate on gun control between Ms. Walton and Lane Hamilton. During the debate, Lane Hamilton became upset at Drew Walton, and he later confronted her outside in the parking lot. The two became embroiled into an argument. Lane Hamilton was screaming at Drew Walton. Drew Walton, a defenseless woman, was scared. She didn't know what Lane Hamilton was capable of. So she reached inside her car for her handgun, for protection. Lane Hamilton, you will realize, was suffering from an emotional crisis. You will learn that his demeanor switchly transitioned from anger to sadness. And as a result, Ms. Walton placed the handgun on the back of her car and began to console Mr. Hamilton. But that's when Mr. Hamilton seized the gun, shot it off, cocked it back, pointed it to his temple, and pulled the trigger, taking his own life. That's what happened. Those are the facts that the police even confirmed to have happened. But that's not what the facts were in BNN's report. No, BNN made a 15-minute survey of the, made a 15-minute observation. They, in their report, stated that Hamilton, Drew Walton had gunned down Lane Hamilton, and homicide charges were forthcoming. Today, we will hear from 3 witnesses. you will hear from Fran Martin, an experienced producer from BNN. You will learn that when Reagan Thomas had finished his investigation, he went up to Fran Martin for permission to run this story. Fran Martin said, "No, you have conflicting eyewitnesses. You also have a report that does not meet the proper standards of journalism. You cannot run this story." Next, you will hear from Jan Patel, the Midland Civic Center janitor that was working that night, an eyewitness to what happened. When he approached Reagan Thomas in his janitorial uniform, upon seeing him, Reagan Thomas simply ignored him and what he had to say. And finally, you will hear from Drew Walton, and how she suffered irreparable damage to her reputation because of this report. You will learn of a history between Kit Berkshire, the CEO and president of BNN, a history of hatred, jealousy, and malice. You will also learn how on that night, Reagan Thomas, the BNN reporter that made the broadcast, failed to even hear Ms. Walton's side of the story. The subject of his report did not even have Drew Walton's side of the story. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you today to realize that this was a broadcast given to 7 million viewers, and it quickly spread over the state of Midlands. It was a broadcast that was false. I ask you to realize today that the actions of BNN that night were indeed defamatory. I ask you today to take more than 15 minutes in your deliberation, and please rule in favor of the plaintiff. Thank you.
Before we do anything else, can we move the timekeeper to where the attorneys can sit?
I'm proposing this change just because I'm getting glare
Do you
from
want me to be on
the
this
window.
side? Because the witness is there?
Sure, whichever is.